Excessive bump steer and uneven tyre wear is a bit of a hot topic when it comes to the latest model DMAX and MUX. So in today's video, we're going to take a closer look at how my particular DMAX has been impacted over the past 35,000 kilometres and hopefully fix the issue. Essentially, the design flaw with these particular vehicles is that whenever you go over bumps, whether that's a corrugated track off-road or just uneven bitumen on your regular day-to-day driving, the toe adjustment on the front two wheels gets impacted a lot more than it should. Now, if you're not too familiar with wheel alignment lingo, I'll just quickly run through the three main factors, because I think it's important to understand how this issue is impacting the vehicle. So essentially, we imagine this is our front right wheel of our car that's driving straight towards the camera. The first factor is camber, and that's essentially the vertical angle of the wheel. So negative camber is like this, top of the wheel is angled in towards the vehicle. Positive camber is like this, top of the wheel is outside of the vehicle. Caster essentially is how far forward or backwards that wheel is sitting within its allocated area, and toe is the angle of our front wheel. So when the car is driving along, we want that wheel to be nice and straight and in accordance with our steering wheel inside the vehicle. But what's happening with the DMAX and MUXs is as the car is going over bumps, that wheel is wiggling like this, mainly toe out, and that's destroying the inside of our tyres. As a bit of a way of visualizing what this actually looks like, here's a short clip from when me and Bianca were up in Shark Bay about a month ago. And you can see even driving really slowly towards the camera on some pretty corrugated tracks, you can see just how much those front wheels are moving. So what does that mean for your DMAX or MUX, and is it worth losing any sleep over the issue? Well, the biggest impact this has on your vehicle is that it's going to cause the front tyres to wear out horrendously, and mine's experiencing this quite badly. And with the price you pay for modern four-wheel drive tyres, that is a pretty big problem. However, if you're still running the factory tyres that came with your DMAX or MUX, you're almost worse off in a way, because these are a much softer tyre, much softer compound, and they wear out a lot faster. I've seen some people on the Facebook groups online getting only about 10 to 15,000 kilometers out of their factory tyres, so definitely something you want to solve. Secondly, the handling of the vehicle is also slightly compromised over bumps too, because when you think about it, instead of those front two wheels being straight and true, they're almost like wobbling all over the place. So not ideal, but how much impact that actually has on the handling is hard for me to say, having only driven the DMAX as it is right now, factory standard in that department. But once I have the fix installed, I'll let you guys know if it feels any different to drive. And speaking of fix, I've been in touch with Fulcrum Suspensions, who have got to the bottom of exactly what's causing the issue for DMAXs and MUXs. It's the front steering knuckles. That's the culprit behind the bump steer issue. And they've also worked out a solution as well, which I am very keen to check out. So let's jump on the road. To solve this problem once and for all, I've brought the DMAX down to Auto King here in Malaga, and the team here are about to swap out my factory steering knuckles with a brand new set from SuperPro. Auto King is also part of the Fulcrum Suspension store network, so it's the perfect place to get the job done, and they've also agreed to let me have a peek behind the curtain and get a closer look at the install process. So let's get the DMAX into the workshop. So before we swap those steering knuckles over, we've just quickly lifted the DMAX into the air, and we're going to do a bit of a test to see how much that factory toe is affected while the vehicle is still factory standard. So in the middle there, we've got a jack that's about to lift up the center of the vehicle, and this is going to be testing how much impact the bump steer is having on the toe of the vehicle on those front two wheels. Essentially, as we're lifting the DMAX, we're simulating how the vehicle moves over bumps on the road and watching for any unusual front wheel movement. Now, it's normal to get a bit of change in camber, caster and toe over bumps, but as we suspected with the DMAX, the toe is getting pushed out of alignment a lot more than what's considered normal. So now that we've got the before reading for comparison later, let's get these steering knuckles off the DMAX. So we just pulled the front tyres off the D-MAX, and something I thought you guys might be quite interested to see is how badly that bump steer issue is actually affecting my front tyres. So these are obviously the Maxxis 811 Razor all-terrain tyres, pretty heavy duty, chunky four-wheel drive tyre. And look what that bump steer issue has so far done to my very expensive tyres. So you see the tread on the inside of the tyre here is significantly more worn than the outside, but not only that, it's actually quite badly scalloped as well. And what that means is if you kind of look sideways, these ridges here are a lot higher than here. So it's almost like it's hard to explain, but you run your finger, you can feel it's quite lumpy as you go around. So very happy for this issue to be sorted, so I'll stop chewing through these very expensive four-wheel drive tyres. So we are out with the old and in with the brand new steering knuckle, which is very heavy. And apart from being significantly more heavy duty, this new steering knuckle also has a bit of a redesign in terms of the pickup points for our tie rod ends and whatnot around the steering knuckle itself. So super keen to get this installed and see what difference it makes to that bump steer issue when it's back on the machine. So the new steering knuckles are fully installed and the D-MAX is back on the hoist, getting a wheel alignment done first and foremost. Then we're going to redo that bump steer test to see how much that toe's been affected. With the new steering knuckles installed, we can see that the toe is dramatically less affected as the vehicle moves up and down. And looking at the two tests side by side, you can actually see how the front wheels were toeing in as the vehicle was lifted earlier, whereas they remain nice and straight on the second test. Looking at the numbers backs this up too, with the toe change going from a 51 and 54 second variance to an 18 and 7 second variance under the same conditions. Well, I got to say, I am pretty impressed by the results of that test at Auto King. Can't argue with those numbers, and hopefully that means my front tyres are now going to start wearing evenly, which would be so nice. But of course, time will tell, and the only way to tell that for sure is going to be by doing a hell of a lot of kilometres in the D-MAX and actually measuring that tyre wear. Now, I do quite a few Ks in this car. It's about 15 months old, and I've done just over 35,000 kilometres. So what I'm going to start doing, starting today, is recording my tyre wear on both the inside and the outside of those front two tyres. I'll then pin the results in a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll continually come back and update that as I cross significant kilometre milestones. That way, whenever you guys are watching this video, you can jump down to that comment section and get the latest information. In terms of drivability, there's a couple of differences I am experiencing so far just driving around town on these bitumen roads. The first one, it's kind of minor, but I feel like the front end is a little bit less floaty on the road, and it feels like I'm a little bit more connected, or my steering wheel is a little bit more connected to those wheels, and it's driving more straight and true. As I said, not a major difference, but it definitely has improved that area, in my opinion. And the second area it's improved it is the wheel alignment is spot on now. Now, I've had a bit of trouble with this car in the past getting a good wheel alignment done. It was in about 4 times in the space of about 2 weeks for them to try and sort out the alignment, but it was always pulling to the left or to the right. And in the end, they just couldn't get it sorted out. So I've kind of just been living with it pulling left for the last few months. However, I'm not sure if it's because of those steering knuckles or just because Auto King did a great job of the wheel alignment, but right now it's driving perfectly straight and true and doesn't pull left or right. So definitely a positive experience so far driving the car on the road, and I'm very interested to see how it drives off-road. So whether or not this is an upgrade worth doing for you and your vehicle really comes down to a couple of factors. The first is how long you plan on keeping your DMAX or MUX before you upgrade to another car. And secondly, what your budget is, because this is not a cheap upgrade. It costs about $2,500 to have the SuperPro Steering Knuckles installed on your vehicle. Although if you're quite DIY friendly, you can buy the parts separately for about $1,700 and save a bit of money that way. But over time, you will start offsetting that cost based on how much longer your tyres are going to last. To work out how much the longevity of the tyres is affected by the uneven tyre wear, let's take a closer look at all the measurements. So in the last 35,000 kilometers, my front tyres have worn down from 12 millimeters to 6 millimeters on the insides, while the outsides still remain around 9 millimeters. If that wear speed was to continue, the inside of my front tyres would be down to the legal tread depth in Australia of 1.5 millimeters in only 61,250 kilometers. To figure out how much life we should be getting out of the tyres if they were wearing evenly, let's take a look at my back tyres as an example. So wearing evenly, my rear tyres have worn down from 12 millimeters to 8.5 millimeters over the same distance of 35,000 kilometers. And if that wear speed was to continue down to the same 1.5 millimeters, that actually lasts me 105,000 kilometers before they needed to be replaced. And that's close to 1.7 times the lifespan. And to be honest, I'd actually expect them to last even longer than that, because that's using the rears as our test case, whereas typically front tyres don't wear down as quickly as rears. Now, obviously, there's a lot of factors at play here, including your vehicle weight, tyre compound, driving style, and also the terrain you're driving across. And you can also manage the impact of this issue by swapping your front and back tyres periodically to effectively halve that impact. But the bottom line is that chunky four-wheel drive tyres like these Maxxis Razor 811 All-Terrains are wearing out a lot faster than they should on the front of the vehicle. And with the price of tyres nowadays, that replacement cost will definitely add up over time. It is also worth mentioning that you can improve the issue with a specialised wheel alignment or by installing some aftermarket upper control arms, but the key word there is improve rather than rectify. So I suppose my takeaway from all these numbers is that if you've got decent four-wheel drive tyres and you're planning on keeping your vehicle long enough to go through a couple of sets of tyres, then it's definitely worth the money for the upgrade, both financially because you will eventually offset that cost of the upgrade, but also just for the general drivability of the vehicle. However, if you're not planning on keeping your car super long term, I'd either look at one of the cheaper options to try and prolong the life of your tyres a little bit, or just leave the vehicle stock standard and accept you're going to be going through tyres a little bit quicker. Anyway guys, I hope this video shed a little bit of light on the bumpsty issue that's affecting these late model DMAXs and MUXs. Whenever you're watching this video, make sure you jump down and check out that comment section for the latest information. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.